What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Joe Culpepper Outdoors. I'm Joe Culpepper, and what a year we have had as bow hunters. We have some crazy stuff coming up. Elite has already dropped their new bows, Darton's dropped their new bows, PSE's dropped their new bows, and wow, we have some absolute hammers this year. We've got 35-inch bows from all three of those. PSE's got a 35-inch carbon bow and a 33-inch carbon bow. I mean, PSE's killing it. Darton, they've got the sequel 31, 33, and 35 now. Wow, absolutely, it's unreal. And the new tuning features, I love it. I really do. And Elite dropping the Exalt earlier this year. I've shot that bow. I made a video about it. Awesome, awesome bow. Really think that's a shooter. Absolutely. Elite also dropped a short, compact aluminum bow, 30 inches ATA. They dropped the Carbon Eon, which is a 31 ATA. And they dropped the Hunter 33, which is a 33-inch bow, of course. It's not a flagship. It is kind of more in that budget category. I wouldn't necessarily say it is a budget bow because it retails for $1,000, I think. But definitely more in that range than their the Exalt or PSE's Decree or the Darton sequel line. Anyways, all that being said, really excited for what Mathews is going to drop this year. And I'm also really excited to see what Bowtech and Hoyt are going to drop to try to compete with these other companies. I think we've got a really good year for archers coming up. We had a really good year last year, and I think it's just going to continue into this year. Before we get into the topic of today's video, one quick question for you guys. What do you use for loop material? I've used the BCY23, BCY24, Pine Ridge, and Gibbs Super Loop. Now, this is the Gibbs right here. I hate this stuff. It's too stiff, in my opinion. It really is hard to shoot. Now, let me kind of qualify my statement. If you're shooting a wrist release, index trigger style, this stuff is going to be great. It's going to hold up, do really good. But if you're shooting a handheld, I think this stuff is just kind of useless because when it starts to twist, at least in my experience, it creates tension around your knot because it's just so stiff. And it's also really hard to get a good loop tied with it if you don't do it 100% right. Now, this is what I have used most of the time. This is BCY24. I like this stuff. Don't love this stuff. It just seems to wear out too fast. If I'm shooting a lot, I know when I was shooting a whole lot, I would get about 3 or 4 weeks before it would start to fray. And I did check my release. I couldn't find any burrs. But I got kind of tired of having to constantly change out my loops. So I got some Pine Ridge, or got one of my bow shop guys to put a Pine Ridge loop on my V3. And it's held up really good so far. So I think I'm probably going to go with Pine Ridge since their stuff holds up good. It's thicker than the BCY24. Probably the same thickness as the Gibbs, but it's not as stiff, so it works a lot better with my handheld release. So anyways, let me know what you guys think about that. I want your opinions. I value them. So with all that being said, let's get into the topic of the video. This is going to be a little bit longer one. I apologize in advance for that, but I feel like this is kind of necessary to go through everything I want to hit with these bows. So let's go back to 2021. 2020, I think 2019, Mathews releases the Mathews Verdicts, which is the first bow to have the switch weight technology. Now, 2020, they dropped the V3 or the VXR line. They had a 28, 31.5, and those were good bows with the switch weight technology. 2021, they dropped the V3s, which is where we're going to pick up today. Now, the reason that I skipped the Verdicts and the VXRs, I have not shot any of those bows. I do not own any of those bows, and I don't want to talk about them if I haven't shot them. Now, Mathews, and this is kind of going to be a main point of this video, or it's going to be you'll see why this is relevant. cross-centric cam has been around since the days of the Halon, which I think 2016, 2015, 2016, somewhere in there, Mathews dropped the Halon. And these cross-centric cams were just so smooth and they were so nice. Everyone loved them. And, well, maybe not everyone loved them, but a lot of guys really liked them. And they continued that with the Verdicts, with the switchback technology, which was a mod-based system. You change your mods, you can change your poundage from 60 pounds up to 75 in 5-pound increments. And that was revolutionary with the Verdicts. So they continued that with the VXR and then the V3. So where does the V3 kind of pick up the story? So in my opinion, this V331 is the perfect blend of backwoods hunting, lots of thick brush, and longer distance shooting. The 31 ATA platform, in my opinion, is really good if you're wanting to shoot targets in the off season and be really competitive, and you're also wanting to hunt deer or anything in the thicker bush during the fall and winter. These bows seem to hold really well without being too cumbersome to get around. And just like I said, 31 seems to be really, really good all around. So this bow does not have a pile of technology in it compared to what we have today. We have integrated rest. We have the option for a 2-piece quiver. No integrated back bar. You do have the SCS compatible on here. No stay afield system and no bridge lock. This bow, in my opinion, is probably out of the 3 Mathews that I have owned, this one is the fastest. Now this V3 is set at 75 pounds, 29.5 inches, and it's spitting out these Sonic 6.0s that weigh about 405 grains at 317 feet a second. It is fast. And I really like that about this bow. It's very accurate. Like I said, it's very fast. But you do have a price to pay with a faster bow. That is a more rough draw cycle. And even though this has the cross-centric cam, it definitely is not as smooth as some of the other bows Mathews has made with the cross-centric cam. But give and take, you have more speed with this bow. So where does the V3 fit into the used buyer's equation? The V3 is going to be the bow that you get if you're not super worried about the new technologies or you just want a fast bow. Another reason to look at this bow is if you're on a little bit harder of a budget, but you still want a flagship bow. You can pick up these V3s a lot cheaper than any of the other bows that we're going to talk about in this video. Partly because they don't have the bridge lock technology. They don't have the stay afield system. They just don't have quite as much as the new bows offer. So you can pick them up relatively cheap compared to the other bows we're going to talk about. Still expensive because they're Mathews, but I'm sure if you check around with your local shop or check online with some bow groups and stuff, you can find one at a reasonable price. And pick them up. I paid $600 for mine with the Mathews quiver and the stay afield system, or the silent connect system, excuse me, and a new set of thread strings on it. $600, good deal in my opinion. Can't really beat it for a quality of bow that you get. So we go from 21 to 22. 21 was my first year in the bows. So I was not in the flagships. 22 was the first year that I bought a flagship. And the V3X was a contender. I did not purchase it. Now, we're not going to go back in time and go through my mind while I was shooting the bows, why I didn't pick the V3X at that time. But we're going to talk about why I have one now and where I think this fits into the used buyer's market. So the V3X, this is the 29, and they also made a 33. I own both the 29, and I have a 33 as well. I like them both. The 33, I do like more. It is more stable, and it just seems to fit me better. And in all reality, I think the 33 is probably a better bow all in all because it's about the same speed as the 29 based on my tests. Longer bow, so it's more stable, and just seems to, really all in all, just seems to be better made. Now, that's my opinion. Take that with a grain of salt, but these little 29s are awesome hunting bows. I would not recommend this for target shooting at all, unless you have a short draw length, 27 inches, 28 inches, something like that. So this bow, like I said, it's not really fast. Apples to apples comparison with the V3, we're 10 foot per second slower on the 29. Not sure exactly where it sits with the 33, but the 33 seems to hang right around the same speeds as the 29, just based on my test. So why get a V3X over the V3 if the V3 is so much better of a buy? Or so much faster and seems to be better? Well, first thing, you have your stay afield system, which is really good for you guys that go out on hunts out west, or you're away from home. And the reason for that is you can essentially, it's essentially like a micro press. So if you cut your string in the woods, you can take and relieve the pressure from the string, or your main string here, take it off and replace it so you can keep going. I don't recommend you use that as the way to set your bow up or anything like that. I really do not. It's not smart, not a good idea, but it is good if you need to swap out your string in the woods. Now, in addition to the stay afield system, we also have the Silent Connect compatibility here. We've got the same integrated rest, and we also have the bridge lock sight, which in my opinion is why most folks are going to go to Mathews if you're looking at features. You've got the two-piece integrated quiver on there as well. V3X is the perfect blend of technology and everything else that makes a bow a bow. It's not super fast. It's not super slow. Compared to everything else, in my opinion, it's definitely not a fast bow, but it's not a slow bow either. You get good features, you get good technology, and I don't think I'm the only person that says the V3X seems to be right where Mathews peaked with their bows. And you can pick them up for a pretty good price. They're probably going to run between $100 and $300 more than the V3, depending on if they have accessories with them or the area that you're in, all of those types of things. So the biggest reason I would say to go with the V3X over the V3 would be the integrated sight option. But there again, that's not necessary, so that is 100% up to you. All in all, if you want a Mathews bow that's going to give you pretty much all their features and last you a long time, V3X is the one I recommend 100%. So then we go from 2022 to 2024, or 2022 to 2023, excuse me. Mathews drops the Phase 4, and my word, did people freak out over the Phase 4. Everyone's saying the limbs are going to blow up, the bow is not as good, it's not as whatever it is, the bow is terrible. I owned a Phase 4 for 8 months, something around there, and I kept my V3X, got rid of my Phase 4. Wasn't a bad bow, just didn't think it was as good of a bow. Never had an issue with the limbs. No issues at all. Now, where I think Mathews made their mistake going to the split limbs, why I am not a fan of them, is not durability. It is backwall. So what I noticed, Mathews does not have a reputation, in my mind at least, for having a good backwall. Mathews backwalls are pretty bad. Okay, that's just my opinion. Hoyt, incredible backwall. Hoyt's probably had the best backwall line of any bow I've ever shot. Elite does a decent job of it, better than Mathews. PSE has a pretty solid back wall too. In my opinion, Hoyt does have the best back wall. Roast me on that if you want to. I don't really care. That's my opinion. Mathews just don't really have a good back wall. And when we got to the Phase 4, it seemed like their back wall just got worse. I heard Tim Connor talking about this, and I experienced it myself. But when you are at full draw with the Mathews Phase 4, it seemed to have a tendency to want to jump. It wanted to pull that release hand forward. And the reason for that, I think, is due to the split limbs, with it not being a solid limb with having the rubber in there. Just my opinion again. This is not fact, but that's what I've experienced. Phase 4, again, was a great bow. It was plagued by the same speed problem as the V3X. Just didn't seem to live up to its potential as far as speed goes. Wasn't a bad bow. Definitely a good bow. Also, it introduced the bridge lock stabilizer, which in my opinion actually does a really good job of taking away vibration. Does it do a better job of taking away vibration than any other stabilizer? No, not really. I did a test swapping out that stabilizer with my with the Elite stabilizer I had at the time, and lo and behold, who would have guessed it? I could not tell a difference in vibration. Now, if I take the stabilizers off and I shoot Phase 4 bare bow against V3X bare bow, probably couldn't tell you a difference there either. At least not in vibration. So, Phase 4, if you like the split limb design, that's a great way to go. If you want the closest to modern technology as you can get with the Mathews without dropping an insane amount of money for the lift or whatever Mathews is fixing to come out with, Phase 4 is a good option. I just personally have a hard time justifying the Phase 4 over the V3X or over the lift. And we're going to get to the lift right now. So coming from 2023 to 2024, my goodness, Mathews hit a home run. Absolute dinger. The bow, the lift, has been the biggest selling bow I think has come out in years and years and years. Reason for that, the bow is really light. They cut out, I think, 1/4 pound from the previous bow, the Phase 4. They switched their cam. Wow, took them a long time to do it. They did it. They did a good job. They went back to more of a speed type cam. And what did that result in? You'd think it resulted in a worse draw cycle. Me personally, I could not tell it. In my opinion, the lift had a smoother draw cycle than the V3X did and the Phase 4. That's my opinion, not fact. Really, that was the big draw with the lift. They changed their cam. They made the riser a little bit longer, which the risers are already really long. But they lengthened the riser, cut out weight, switched the cam. And now, with the new cam, you can go with the switch weight technology still. Different mods, but same concept. You can go from 55 to 80 pounds in 5-pound increments. Great. Love it. Love the idea behind the lift. Why don't I have a lift? Why did I never buy a lift? To be honest, I didn't really see the point. I have 2 V3Xs, and I really like both of them. V3X29 would definitely be the first to go if I had to get rid of a bow, just saying. But I didn't see the need to spend the money on the lift. It didn't provide me with anything I thought was better enough to justify the price. So, that being said, we're coming up on new bow season. Mathews is dropping a new bow probably 2 weeks from today that I'm recording this. That bow could... We really don't know what Mathews is fixing to drop. Before I make any speculations, we don't know what Mathews is fixing to drop. So it's kind of a hard position for people that want a new bow. I recommend, if you are looking at a new bow at this very moment, hold out. Just wait a little bit longer. let the rest of them come out, see what's going on. If you want a lift, you're fixing to be able to pick them up for a discount. I can guarantee you almost all of the dealers that have carryover stock of the lifts, the 29.5 and 33, they're going to be discounting them, trying to get them off the shelf to make way for whatever Mathews is fixing to drop, because Mathews is going to sell. It's just going to sell. They've got to get the Mathews space cleared out so they can fill it back up with new bows and be rolling them out next year just like they did this year. Where does the lift fit in the equation? You want the best of the best as far as new technology goes. Lift is a great option. Really is. And I think on the used market, you're going to find some really good deals on them here soon. In the new market, you're fixing to find some big slashes on the dollars just so they can get rid of old inventory, make way for new. The lift, in my opinion, I would definitely pick it over the Phase 4 just because it is a little bit newer. It is lighter. It has a faster cam on it. Will that justify the price difference? I don't know. That is 100% up to the buyer, not me. My opinion, yes, I would spend the extra money and get the lift over the Phase 4. Now, if you have a V3, VXR, V3X, I think it's still time for us to sit on our bows for a little bit longer and see what happens. At least see what Mathews does this year, because we have no idea what they're fixing to do. I have some ideas. I know what I want to see, but we don't know. Mathews is super top secret. They guard these things. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. But they've got to vet all these guys that they're sending proving ground bows out to. Because if they send it to a lot of guys, let's just say that there'd be a bunch of leaks really fast. But all that being said, it's been a great year so far for archery. I think it's going to continue to be a great year. I think we're going to end out December of 24 with a large group of new products that are really well designed. If you don't feel like upgrading your bow, don't upgrade your bow. Don't let people force you into it. If you want to upgrade your bow, as long as it's in your budget, you can make it happen. Man, go for it 100%. I'm behind you. But be wise with what you buy. Don't just go buy the crazy new fad, because that's what everyone's telling you to do, because chances are you're probably going to be disappointed. So, we've also got some new arrows from Victory, the HLRs. Probably going to be in my quiver next year because that looks like it is ideal, except for the price. But if I can do it once and not have to buy any more, then that would be a huge plus. So, really looking forward to hopefully seeing those in person and getting some in my hands to test out. Also, the new dialed sight, the new proof. Really like it. Probably not going to buy one right now because they are expensive and I don't really feel like spending the money. Like I said, I really like where I'm at on my bows. I don't want to buy any new ones right now. I want to sit on the ones I have for a little while longer. But all that being said, let me know what you guys think about what's going on. Let me know your theories. What's Mathews fixing to do this year? How are they going to top the lift, which has been absolutely crazy selling bow? It's been absolutely unreal. I never thought I would see that much hype behind Mathews products, especially because so many people hate them. But let me know what you think about that. What do you think about these Victory arrows? I'm personally a huge fan of them, and I'm really looking forward to shooting them. And let me know what you want to see. I'm trying to make these videos, trying to make them interesting and not make them just all the time because I have to. I'm trying to get a good idea and then make it happen. And I know this was a little bit longer video. Let me know, do you want longer videos? Do you want me to go and just try to condense everything into these 8 to 10 minute videos? Just trying to get some feedback from you guys, see what you want. And with all that being said, I know this has kind of been a ramble, but I really wanted to make sure that I hit everything I wanted to hit in order to give you the most accurate information possible from my perspective. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you stuck around to the end, really appreciate it. Please stay safe, stay in the outdoors. God bless you. I'll catch you on the next one.